Of all the strange habits humans have had throughout history, smoking has to be one of the craziest. We have all grown up observing people as they place this white or brown stick in their mouth with the glowing end and then drag smoke back into their lungs, thinking nothing unusual about it, because we see this ritual many times a day throughout our lives. But if you were to observe this for the first time, it would appear very, very weird, as they inhale this deadly smoke and then puff it out again. And you would have to ask, why are you blowing smoke out of your lungs? Let's delve a bit deeper into cigarette smoking and follow the history of this deadly addiction and the insidious ways the tobacco industry got people addicted and tried to keep people addicted. Number 8. The beginning. Smoking has been practiced in one form or another since ancient times, and tobacco was smoked all over the Americas as early as 5000 BC in shamanistic rituals and originated in the Peruvian and Ecuadorian Andes. Tobacco was grown by American Indians before the Europeans came from England, Spain, France and Italy to North America. Native Americans smoked tobacco through a pipe for special religious and medical purposes. However, they did not smoke every day. Following the arrival of Europeans, tobacco became one of the primary products fueling colonization and also became a driving factor in the incorporation of African slave labour. The Spanish introduced tobacco to Europeans in about 1528. Tobacco was the first crop grown for money in North America and today is one of the most important cash crops in American farming. According to the Tobacco Atlas, estimates of revenues from the global tobacco industry likely approach $500 billion annually. In 2010, the combined profits of the 6 leading tobacco companies was $35.1 billion, equal to the combined profits of Coca-Cola, Microsoft and McDonald's in the same year. Number 7. Historical facts about smoking. The first tobacco was smoked in England sometime around 1560 and was seen as a miracle cure. It became a pastime for the rich. By about 1618, smoking had reached all levels of society and was seen as a cure for just about anything. Once the Europeans were addicted, the European traders then spread smoking throughout the world. The spread of smoking went along with the spread of European seafaring trade in the early 18th century. French and Portuguese traders took it to Africa. An English captain introduced it to Japan. The Chinese got it from the Spanish and Portuguese traders. It would not be long after it reached the new place that smoking would quickly become a hallmark of that new culture. Hookahs became fashionable under the Mughals of India. In Africa, smoking was incorporated into weddings and religious rites, and in Japan became associated with art. Once introduced, this insidious leaf became a universal human habit, crossing all geographic, cultural and social lines. However, not all cultures welcomed it with open arms. In the 17th century, Turkish Sultan Murad IV considered it a threat to morals and health, and he tried to close the coffee houses where people gathered to smoke. Some Chinese emperors dating from the mid-1600s banned the practice among the common people. The Russian Orthodox Church in 1634 not only banned smoking, but ordered whipping for men and women who violated the order. However, history shows us that they were fighting a losing battle as tobacco became entrenched in practically every corner of the globe. Historians debate at which point smoking shifted from medical practice to daily habit in Europe. Of course, today health authorities will tell you it happens at the point at which you stick the first cigarette in your mouth. Number 6. What is actually in a cigarette? So now that the cigarette has spread throughout the world, today's cigarettes are the world's most prevalent addiction used by an estimated 22.5% of all adults. So, what is actually in a cigarette that causes both addiction and physical damage to the body? According to the American Lung Association, there are approximately 600 ingredients in cigarettes. When burned, they create more than 7,000 chemicals. At least 69 of these chemicals are known to cause cancer, and many are poisonous. Many of these chemicals also are found in consumer products, but these products have warning labels. While the public is warned about the danger of the poisons in these products, there is no such warning for the toxins in tobacco smoke. The following are a few of the chemicals in tobacco smoke and other places they are found. Acetone, found in nail polish remover. Acetic acid, an ingredient in hair dye. Ammonia, a common household cleaner. Arsenic, used in rat poison. Benzene, found in rubber cement. Butane, used in lighter fluid. Cadmium, active component in battery acid. Carbon monoxide, released in car exhaust fumes. Formaldehyde, embalming fluid. Hexamine, found in barbecue lighter fluid. Lead, used in batteries. Naphthalene, an ingredient in mothballs. Methanol, a main component in rocket fuel. Nicotine, used as an insecticide. Tar, material for paving roads. Toluene, used to manufacture paint. Number 5. Spreading the word. So, now that the world is addicted to nicotine and big companies have become aware of the addictive properties of cigarettes, they realise the vast sums of money that could be made from this addiction. So let's look at the many varied ways the tobacco companies attempted to spread the word to both young and old. Advertising companies tried to make smoking the norm, with a cigarette in every hand for every occasion. They attempted to make it cool to smoke by showing celebrities or glamorous people lifting it up as if they were associated with a healthy lifestyle. Cigarettes turn women into desirable, stylish ladies and increase your chances of looking like a celebrity, especially in Hollywood in the 30s, 40s and 50s. Victory over the Germans from smoking Chesterfields. They even tried bribing people by saying that if you smoked enough Raleigh, you could win a blender. Other marketers sold a certain brand that was associated with success, that if you smoked this brand, you have made it. Marlboro featured rugged men portrayed in a variety of roles, primarily as a rugged cowboy in nature with a cigarette. Ironically, 2 famous Marlboro men actually died of a smoking-related disease. Wayne McLaren died before his 52nd birthday in 1992, and David McLean died of lung cancer at the age of 73 in 1985. His widow sued Philip Morris, claiming that McLean's disease was brought on because he had to smoke multiple packets of cigarettes during advertising shoots. Number 4. Spreading the word to women. Always in search of huge profits, tobacco companies had to find new ways to spread the word and realise there was a relatively untapped market in women. After all, women were the largest consumers of clothing, shoes, makeup, hairdressing, so why not tobacco? This was a windfall waiting to happen. The companies used advertising to prey on female insecurities about weight and diet. Many of these campaigns strive to entice women to smoke by using mainstream beauty and fashion standards to portray smoking as feminine. Smoking had to be seen as not only respectable, but sociable, fashionable, stylish, and feminine, featuring attractive slender women draped in high fashion. In the years that followed, tobacco companies developed brands marketed as slim, low tar, light, and ultralight to tap into these themes. Philip Morris offered promotions for its Virginia Slim cigarettes, including catalogues with blouses, coats, scarves, and accessories in exchange for purchasing packs of Virginia Slim cigarettes. In the 1970s, Virginia Slims even sponsored the Women's Tennis Association with titles like the Virginia Slims Classics Tennis Series. Again, trying to promote that healthy lifestyle, which was of course a complete contradiction. Number 3. Spreading the word to the young. If you thought these companies couldn't sink any lower, they did. They must have figured out that if you get them young, that is a lifetime of addiction and profit. In an effort to increase their market share to young people, R.J. Reynolds created the now infamous Joe Camel campaign for the Camel brand in 1988. The campaign ran for 9 years, featuring a cruel dromedary cartoon character. Joe Camel was reported to be successful and was aimed directly at the young adult smoker. A 1991 article published in JAMA, that is the Journal of the American Medical Association, revealed that the Joe Camel advertisement was far more successful at marketing the Camel brand to children than to adults, based on the child's ability to recall the character and find him appealing. Worse still was another JAMA production in 1991 revealing that 91.3% of 6-year-old children were able to correctly match Joe Camel with a picture of a cigarette, which was almost the same number who could match Mickey Mouse to Disney. Number 2, the medical profession. One of the nastiest underhanded tricks of the tobacco industry was attempting to con people that the medical profession were on board with cigarette smoking. As smoking rapidly gained popularity in the early decades of the century, researchers were releasing studies detailing its negative health effects, and consumers were already beginning to worry. Brands such as Lucky Strike and Camels began to use doctors in their advertisements, addressing a presumably concerned audience, suggesting that physicians approved of smoking. From the 1930s through to the 1950s, tobacco advertising strategists marshalled a tone of medical authority of their own, marketing various brands as healthier than their competitors based on scientific studies and chemical analysis. However, there were cases where either the doctor was unethical or seriously ill-informed, where some people who went to the doctors suffering from stress and the doctor actually suggested they take up smoking as a means of relaxing. Number 1. The world fights back. In 2004, Bhutan became the first nation in the world to ban the sale of tobacco and to outlaw smoking in all public areas. In June 2010, the country implemented one of the world's strictest anti-tobacco legislations by forbidding the sale or smuggling of tobacco into Bhutan. Those found guilty of the offences can serve a prison term of 3 to 5 years with no chance of being granted bail. In 2012, Australia's highest court upheld the law to replace current cigarette packaging with a standard olive-coloured design, complete with health warnings. The government hopes the new packaging makes smoking as unglamorous as possible, and says the decision is a victory for those who lost a loved one to a tobacco-related illness. Today, in large parts of the globe, smoking bans are public policies, including criminal laws and occupational regulations, which prohibit tobacco smoking in workplaces and or other public spaces. Legislation may also, in some cases, restrict the carrying or possessing of any lit tobacco product, but the companies will certainly not lay down and die, where big tobacco companies have been developing nicotine products that are supposedly safer than cigarettes. The tobacco industry markets them as safer alternatives for adult smokers who want to continue smoking. Like any drug of addiction throughout the world, it appears almost impossible to ban them outright, because to do so will only drive them underground and create a huge black market. However, if you look at the long-term statistics, smoking is definitely on the decline, where adult smoking peaked in 1954 at 45% and remained at 40% through to the early 1970s, but has since gradually declined. The average rate of smoking across decades fell from 40% in the 1970s to 32% in the 1980s, 26% in the 1990s, and 24% since 2000. Whether we can eventually reach zero is anyone's guess, and we can only hope that cigarettes will not end in a bang, but will slowly fizzle away to nothing and end in a whimper.